It's time to spill the beans. Joining me today is legume expert Cesare Casella. We'll teach you the secret for cooking beans 3 different ways: on the stovetop, in a pressure cooker, and in the oven. After mastering the basic cooking techniques, Cesare shares his recipes for a colorful 7-bean salad and a hearty panzanella made with chewy Tuscan bread and Italian cannellini beans. Last but not least, I'll share my recipe for slow-cooked Boston baked beans, a New England classic that marries the delicious flavors of salt pork, molasses, and brown sugar with the beans. Beans make a more nutritionally balanced side dish than rice, bread, or potatoes. And I love the variety and colors of dried beans. Unlike meat, beans are a protein with no cholesterol and no fat. Once you understand how to cook them, a whole new world of wonderful recipes opens up. And I'm going to show you today how to make basic beans using 3 different methods. And to help me teach this lesson, I've invited a fabulous chef who is known for his beans. You can call him the bean aficionado, Cesare Casella. Hi, Cesare.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
and
inviting me.
I invited you because really and truly, I think of all the chefs in New York, you cook beans the best. And I order beans in your restaurant frequently, and it's really nice to have you here. And Cesare is going to actually demonstrate the way he prepares beans for cooking. So there's a specific method once you find the bean that you want to make. And these are what, Appaloosas?
Yes.
These are Appaloosa dried beans. They look like Appaloosa horses.
Yeah, the same color.
Yeah, they are.
So what I doing, I try to look for stone because it can be all broken beans.
Yeah, how would a stone get into this?
Because the beans that grow in the soil, they have a stone too. It depends how they pick, nice or no.
So now you're going to wash them.
I want to wash, take out what is more possible in this way. So now I wash it nice.
And how long do you soak them for, the first soak?
The fish soak you want is about overnight because they're easy, but it depends how fresh you have the beans. You can 4-3 hours and how big they are.
Okay.
For example, this is...
so these have been soaked for how long?
This overnight.
Now, I just want to show the difference in size because they're twice as big?
Almost twice, and then when you cook, almost going to be 3 times.
Oh, really? Okay, good. Okay. So these have soaked. They are almost tender to the touch. So you're going to rinse these again?
I'm going to rinse again. And this is for 2 reasons. For example, my mom, she no throw away this water. What is she doing?
Yes.
She cook it with this
right.
water,
But
they're going to be very strong flavor. And then if you wash, you soak in this way, the beans, they give less gas.
oh, that's right. Important to note, less gas if you don't use the bean water.
So now, practically, we make the vegetable, this sacchetto, we call, with the garlic. But if you don't like a garlic, use.
But it tastes so good in the beans, doesn't it? Yes.
It's like the rosemary, sage.
And then let's talk of celery, 1 carrot, and 1 onion. The onion cut up into quarters?
Yes.
Okay.
And then what do we do in the vegetable?
You're making a sachet, really?
Yes.
Okay.
This go there, and then...
So choose a pot that's large enough to hold the beans.
Yes.
Okay.
We put the carrots.
And water to cover, or?
More the cover.
Okay.
So I like to use a lot water. Depends what the preparation. I think if we use a little bit more water is better.
Okay.
Because you want...
More than that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You want the beans dancing, but no rock and roll. Almost like a valzer. Because it's simple. The temperature of the beans in the bottom, they're going to be much more higher the top. If they have a possibility to go around, they cook all the beans in the same way.
Now, even though pressure cooking has become a more popular way of cooking again, at the restaurants that you own, do you cook them this way?
I cook in this way or in the oven because I have all the cooks so they can watch there. The pressure cooker, I think in the house, it's the best way.
Okay.
Because it's fast and easy.
So now bring this to a low simmer.
Salt, low simmer,
Okay.
and then leave it cook 45 minutes for this specific
Okay.
type of beans.
And cooking time is dependent on the freshness and the variety and the size of the bean. So check repeatedly for
Yes.
doneness. So this is after 30 minutes. Should I try?
Yeah, but already this you see is still too al dente, so we leave it cook. Like you see when I talk about the dancing, so you don't want it boil too much.
Right. Now, do we add salt at this point?
We add a little bit before, but now is the moment that we want to add a little bit more.
So like a teaspoon more?
Yes.
I think these are doing the jitterbug.
Yes, this is too much.
So just monitor the heat.
In 15 minutes, we're going to taste again. And then when you taste the beans, you don't want to taste only one beans. Because maybe that the beans is what there was in the bottom. They look a cook.
I see.
So you need to taste 3 or 4 beans. In that way, you can really understand how they are, the beans.
Now, despite the fact that we have beans cooking and other things around us, the most fragrant thing in the room is Cesare's signature herb in his pocket. This is rosemary today.
It's a rosemary.
But it depends on the day, right?
But most rosemary because they are more easy to take care of.
They stay longer.
Yes, and then in my house in Lucca, I have all the rosemary.
Oh,
when I come
I
out,
see.
I take the rosemary around, I put in my pocket.
Oh, well, it's beautiful. So now I'll try one more bean. Yes, that's very easy.
So what we want to do, we take out these
Our little sacchetto.
sacchetto, and before to storage, we take some of the beans for to make the salad beans. So we put here some of the beans.
Okay, so we need about 3/4 of a cup
3/4
for salad.
cup, yes.
Okay.
I put it back the inside. What do you want when you storage the beans? You want to keep it in the water.
Oh, okay. How long can they stay?
You can keep it for 3-4 days
Oh,
without
good.
no problem, but you want to keep in the water.
Okay.
Because if it do dry, and after you take it for a few minutes, you see already the skin, they start to crack.
Okay.
And they are no good.
Okay, so keep those in the liquid in the refrigerator once they cool.
Yes. And the broth, you can make a soup. They're very nice. Little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, because the
yum.
flavor from the beans, they are so much.
Great. Well, allow the beans to cool and firm in the cooking liquid before handling them. So now this is the long style of cooking. We're going to show you now how to cut that time down to about 1/3 by cooking the beans in a pressure cooker. So here we have 1 pound of cranberry beans that have been soaked. So we're going to put these in a pressure cooker. And
We're going to put
so a similar thing. One
Yes,
onion,
the
1
same.
carrot.
If you make a soup, you want it more creamy, you put some potatoes inside cut,
Oh.
and they come with the starch, more starch, and they come more juicy.
And
the sacchetto
sacchetto.
with the rosemary, sage,
And some olive oil too?
a little bit olive oil.
Now tell why the olive oil.
Because they help to broken less.
They'll break
Ma-
less,
and
they will
these-
crack less if they
yes.
have oil.
So we add the water, and this way, for 6 cups or 3-inch, 4-inch water above. Yes.
Okay. Because once this starts to cook, you can't open it up.
No, you
Okay.
can go to check it to add more.
Okay.
So you can add a little bit of salt.
There. So when the pressure cooker reaches full pressure, that means this little blue button is solidly raised. Lower the heat to medium and continue to cook for approximately, 6 to 8 minutes.
Let's do 7 minutes
Okay.
in between.
So when the cooking time is up, release the pressure using the natural method. Move the pressure cooker to a cold burner and wait for the pressure to dissipate on its own, which takes about 10 minutes. So Cesare, the depressurization has occurred, 10 minutes, and now we push that to open the pot, and there. We should have perfectly cooked beans.
So we before we take out the sacchetto, and then we're going to take some. But if you see the broth is different from
It's darker,
Is
yeah.
darker. So now we take a few
Oh, how beautiful.
beans, And you see, they don't grow too much more.
No. So now we have calypso beans, which are very pretty. Look at these black and white beans. But you're going to show how to cook them in the oven.
They are maybe more longer, but there was a time in the house, they have the wood oven, and they keep in the oven going all day.
Right.
After they make the bread, they put the beans, they put the other ingredients.
Yeah.
So we start in the same way. We're going to put what is the mazzetto, the carrot, the onions, the salt.
And the celery.
And the celery.
Good.
The water.
How much water again?
The water, again, because now for 6 cups, it depends on the pots, because the more is large, you need more water. So we're going to bring this, and then we're going to put in the oven.
For how long?
It's about 1 hour, half, 1 hour, 45 minutes.
So Cesare, what's your favorite way of cooking beans?
My favorite way, maybe in the oven, is my favorite way because it's you leave it there. In the stove, I like it because I have the opportunity, the more easy to pick. But in the pressure cooker, it's easy.
Okay.
So because it's fast.
One's fast, one's more fun, and one is
it's a very difficult too.
carefree.
Yes.
So you can choose your way of cooking beans. And now you've all heard of 7-bean salad. Well, here is the ultimate version of the 7-bean salad. Cesare, this is the oven roasted beans.
Yes.
Okay.
They are more dark than you
They
see.
are, yeah. How long are these cooked?
This is 1 hour and a half.
Really, that's all, and it's really much darker. Oh, and these are the black and white beans, calypso beans.
You want to taste?
Yeah, oh, of course. Extremely tasty.
So we take the 3/4 cup.
You can taste the garlic much more in the oven roasted, can't you?
Yes, it's more strong, and in the end there was the same quantity.
So now we have 7 beans all together, ready for the 7-bean salad. So we have chickpeas.
Chickpeas.
We have dried snow-cap beans
Yes.
that have been cooked. Those are pretty. Scarlet runner beans. Now look at the size of these. These are really amazing. I love scarlet runner beans. And the dried kidney beans, which are reddish.
The cranberry.
Oh, the cranberry beans. The Appaloosa beans. And the very beautiful that we just took out of the oven, the calypso beans.
So each one, they bring different flavor, different consistency. That we blend all together. Then we're going to add the onions. And the onions, I normally marine the red wine vinegar because I like the onions, but I don't like the smell of the onions. So in that way, you're going to keep the flavor, the onions, without the two.
Is that a red onion?
Red onions.
How beautiful.
You can use the white onions too, but I grew up with red onions, so that is a nice color
In Lucca,
too.
the red onions?
Yes, we don't have white onions.
Oh.
The only white onions is in the beginning, the season of the onions when they are white.
1/4 cup of celery.
The celery is crispy, is crunchy.
And 1/4 cup of Italian flat leaf parsley, of course.
And then now we need to put the olive oil, and they're going to put the pepper. The beans, they want a lot of olive oil.
Yeah, they love olive oil, don't they?
So you're going to stir.
So pretty. So this is best right now, or will it be good tomorrow?
Is that good now, but tomorrow they taste much better.
Oh, okay.
So when you want to serve it, or you can serve in a plate with some shaved Parmigiano in top.
So pretty.
And this is a good with bottarga, or if you like to put some anchovy, or caviar.
Oh, that is so very beautiful. Have 7 beans, have 10 different beans. All the different dried beans, try what you haven't before. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marta.
So now we're going to make one last delicious salad with Cesare, and this is called Panzanella. It's a Tuscan summer bread salad made with onions and tomatoes, basil, olive oil, and seasonings. And it's a hearty salad, ideal for cookouts and for picnics because it tastes better the longer it sits. Isn't that true, Cesare?
Yes, that's true. And in Italy, when I was cooking in the house, this you make it for the summertime especially, and then you can use anchovy or tuna. They give it more flavor.
So the whites of scallions, anchovy, cucumber, yellow tomato, red pepper, yellow pepper, all of these.
Yes, all these. Sometimes when you have a celery too, you can add celery. I like it to add the bread toasted because it's the way that you keep it crispy in the end of this type of the salad.
Now, the difference between this panzanella and most other panzanellas is that you add beans.
I add beans plus the toasted bread.
Okay, so cannellini beans.
Cannellini beans, but you can use
Any.
the beans that you have, any beans that you have. And then I do it in the way to put salt all around, and then the vinegar. And then you want
So red wine vinegar?
red wine vinegar, extra virgin olive oil.
Now, will the bread get a little bit soggy now that you've toasted it really well, really
I
hard?
toast it very well because you want to keep it crispy. After they take the vinegar, they take the juice from the tomato, but you want it pasty, not mushy.
Okay.
You stir.
It's certainly pretty.
And then we need to add marjoram.
Oh, marjoram, fresh marjoram leaves.
And then we have a basil.
Just hear it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do it. I love basil so much.
So we add
And
the
it smells
the
so
black pepper.
good, doesn't it?
They like to eat it too. If you make some hard eggs, and then you serve it with the hard eggs cut in four pieces.
Oh, I've never had it with
And
hard-boiled eggs.
And the color, they are beautiful.
Yeah, but look how gorgeous.
Practically this now is ready.
So good.
You can eat it now, but like you can keep it for 2-3 hours for the evening, and the flavor change a little bit. The bread is going to be a little bit more soft, but much more flavor.
Well, it certainly is a pretty salad, and it is extremely tasty. And it's a good way to use up that loaf of bread that you forgot, right? It should be a sort of a country loaf of Italian bread.
And this is what you can do. You can do the croutons, stay in the house for 1 week without no problem. So you can toast the bread to do the salad later on.
Sure, absolutely. How beautiful and how easy. So here's a fork, Cesare. And thank you very much for visiting our cooking school. Your knowledge of beans is extraordinary, and thank you so much. This is a great salad.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here.
You can come here anytime. Now, here is one of my favorite bean recipes, the old-fashioned Boston baked beans. And the Massachusetts tradition of eating baked beans for dinner on Saturday night seems to have originated in Puritan Boston. The Sabbath started at sundown on Saturday, and according to Puritan belief, no work was to be done until sundown on Sunday. So on Saturday morning, the bean pot was put in the low heat of the fireplace oven, probably one of those old-fashioned beehive ovens, either next to the fireplace or in the back of the fireplace, and in the hopes that the beans would be ready by supper time. And the leftovers were kept warm in the fireplace and served for breakfast on Sunday. So this is my recipe for Boston baked beans. We have soaked some very nice pinto beans. They've been washed, scrubbed, as Cesare showed us, and soaked for 24 hours, 2 pounds of beans. And I am now going to drain those beans. We're not going to reserve the soaking liquid. We're just going to use the soaked beans. And you can use navy beans, pinto beans, cranberry beans. You can choose, but pinto beans work very, very nicely. I've used them several times. And And navy beans are a little bit smaller bean, and I've used those quite a few times. So now this is a very simple recipe, although it takes several hours to cook. Now it's best, I think, to use a bean pot. This is a newfangled bean pot. Old bean pots were the typical crock-looking beige with a brown stripe and a little cover on the top. But this works very, very nicely. Put in the bottom of the pot 1 large onion, halved and sliced into, it's about 1/4-inch slices. And these go, just strew these right in the bottom of the pot. Smells good. 4 canned plum tomatoes. And if you don't have plum tomatoes, you can use, heaven forbid, about 1/2 cup of ketchup. You also use some dry mustard, 1 tablespoon plus a teaspoon. A couple bay leaves, broken, put that in. And 12 whole cloves, throw those in. And 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. This can also go right into the bottom. I like dark brown sugar. And salt, a tablespoon of salt. Tablespoon plus a teaspoon. And about 1/2 a teaspoon of black pepper. So that's pretty much it, except for molasses, which I like to put over the top, salt pork, and fresh water. And your soaked beans go right into the bean pot. You can sprinkle a little bit more salt over the top. And unsulfured molasses, 1/2 cup. And I like to go over the entire top. Get every last bit. You might even want to use a little bit more molasses. Some people like really dark baked beans. I do. And now the last thing to do is put your salt pork over the top. Big, chunky pieces. Like that. And add 5 cups of water. I don't stir, I don't do anything. I just leave it just like this. Now, cover and transfer to a 300-degree preheated oven. And you're going to bake these covered without stirring until the beans are tender and the liquid has thickened, about 6 hours. Now you can check the beans every 45 minutes or so, adding more boiling water if necessary to keep the beans slightly soupy at all times, but not soaky wet. Well, hopefully the beans are done. And they look so good. Look what's happened to those beautiful, beautiful pinto beans. They certainly have changed color. And you can taste them. Just see if they need any salt or pepper. They taste just right. The salt pork is fallen apart just like it should. And if you have some bread, Boston brown bread, some hot dogs, potato salad, you can enjoy a hearty bowl of Boston baked beans. Delicious. Well, I certainly hope I've inspired you to add dried beans to your diet. With so many varieties, the recipe possibilities are endless. Let's meet again on Martha's Cooking School, and we'll see you at our next lesson.